We have all been there. You are so excited for the day, you're ready to go, and then you hit the line. That slow, concrete, barely moving cue where that familiar, nagging sciatica pain starts its slow burn all the way down your leg. It can turn a fantastic day into a total endurance test. But what if it didn't have to be that way? This is your survival guide for conquering the line.
I mean, how perfect is that description? Your legs start sending angry emails. It so perfectly captures that specific radiating frustration. Well, today we are going to give you the tools you need to finally hit unsubscribe. And this is the central mystery, isn't it? You can walk around a park or a museum for hours and feel mostly okay. But stand perfectly still in a line for just 10 minutes and boom, the pain kicks in. So what gives? Why is just being motionless so much worse than actually moving?
Well, it all comes down to something called the static load trap. Think about it. When you're walking, your muscles are kind of taking turns, constantly contracting and relaxing, shifting the load. It's a team effort. But when you stand still, suddenly a few Chinese stabilizing muscles get stuck with the entire job. They're held in one constant, unchanging position, and for a sensitive sciatic nerve, that consistent pressure is the perfect trigger. So the answer isn't to be a hero and power through it. And it's definitely not about doing some big look-at-me stretch in the middle of a crowd. Nope. The goal is way smarter and way more sneaky. It's all about creating tiny, almost invisible bits of variety in your stance to break that static load before it even has a chance to start.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? Let me introduce you to your new secret weapon, the 60-second invisible reset cycle. This is a super simple loop of 4 tiny movements you can do without anyone around you ever noticing. This isn't a workout. It's just a smart way to keep your nervous system from sending out those angry emails in the first place.
All right, let's break this down into the 4 micro moves. First up, the heel-to-toe rock. We're just talking about shifting the pressure inside your shoes. That's it. Next, the knee soften, a tiny bend and straighten of the knees, literally a centimeter or 2 of movement. No one will ever see you do it. Then you've got the half-step switch. Just place one foot slightly ahead of the other. And finally, the exhale brace. As you breathe out, you just gently kind of zip up your lower stomach muscles. Seriously, each move is completely invisible. Now let's be real, you're not going to remember a list of steps when you're distracted. So we're going to turn it into a super simple 4-beat mantra. Just think, rock, soften, half step, exhale. That's it. It's a simple little rhythm that keeps your body from getting locked into that static trap. And I love this insight right here. The goal is to treat lines like mini rehab sessions, not as endurance tests. That shift in mindset changes everything. You're not just waiting anymore. You're actively managing the situation. And that subtle change can make a huge, huge difference. Okay, so once you've got that basic cycle down, you're ready to level up. Let's add a few more pro tips to your toolkit. Some subtle stance secrets that can provide even more relief. Leaning on a rail can be a total game changer, but you gotta do it right. So here's the deal. A helpful lean is when you keep your hips facing forward totally square. You're just resting a forearm on the rail to take a little weight off. Easy. The harmful lean, and we have all done this, is when you twist your whole body and just dump all your weight into one hip. That asymmetry can actually make the irritation way, way worse. Here are 2 more little secret weapons for your feet. First, try the toe out a hair test. And I mean a hair. Just rotate one foot outward a tiny, tiny bit. Not a big ballet move, just a few degrees, and see if that calms things down. The other trick is that shoe-length stagger we mentioned. Putting one foot slightly in front of the other totally changes the angle of your pelvis and can provide instant relief. Just remember to switch sides every minute or so. Now, knowing what to do is half the battle. The other half is knowing what not to do. There are a few really common habits that feel intuitive at the time but can actually feed a flare-up. Let's make sure you avoid these traps. Trap number 1, aggressive stretches. Yanking on your hamstring might feel like the right thing to do, but it can sometimes make a sensitive nerve even angrier. Trap 2, don't stand at attention by locking your knees and bracing. Always keep your knees soft. And trap 3, watch out for the phone slump. When your head drops forward to look at your phone, your whole posture can collapse, putting pressure right where you don't want it. But the absolute number 1 mistake, the one we are all guilty of, is the one-side hip hang. You know the pose, jutting one hip way out to the side. It feels good for about 10 seconds because you're unloading the muscles, but what you're actually doing is compressing one side of your pelvis and spine. It is short-term relief for long-term pain. Avoid this one. So, how do we put all of this into a practical game plan? The strategy changes a little bit depending on how long you'll be waiting. Let's look at a simple guide. Okay, so think of it like this. For a short wait, say 5 to 10 minutes, you don't need the whole shebang. Just pick two of the simplest moves, like the heel rock and the knee soften, and just alternate. If you're in for a long haul, 20 minutes to an hour, that's when you use the full 4-step cycle and grab a rail if you can. And if you're packed in tight with no room to move, focus on the most subtle combo, the pressure shift inside your shoes and that gentle exhale brace.
Okay, we absolutely have to pause for a very important safety notice. These techniques are for managing predictable, recurring pain. But if you ever experience any of these red flag symptoms, especially new leg weakness, any loss of bowel or bladder control, or numbness in the saddle area, this is not something to manage on your own. These are signs to seek medical help immediately. Please take this seriously. So let's put it all together in a simple plan you can remember. In fact, this is the perfect slide to screenshot for your phone. First, check your stance. Keep your feet hip-width, knees soft. Second, run your cycle every minute or so. Just think rock, soften, half-step, exhale. Third, lean on a rail if you can, but don't twist. And most importantly, listen to your body. If something makes the pain worse, stop and switch to a different move.
Let's end with this thought. What if you reframed this entire experience? What if waiting in line was no longer something to dread, but a scheduled opportunity? A few minutes every hour to practice these resets and actively take care of your body. It's a subtle shift, but it can make all the difference.